Yo, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Homie Hector here. Today I got this Toyota Tundra with a 4.0 liter engine, V6, and the customer is complaining of a check engine light on. He also believes that there's something wrong with the transmission. He specifically said, la cuarta no sirve. He thinks it's fourth gear. So I've been driving it around and I really don't feel anything wrong with the transmission. He says that when he gets to about 60 or 70 and he tries to go faster, he can't. So I think I'm gonna have to go drive it on the freeway and see what happens there. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and hook up the scanner, see what kind of codes we have, and take it from there. Okay, so there it is, 2012 Toyota Tundra 4.0 1G RFE. So more than likely we're gonna have transmission related codes, but he specifically said fourth gear, so we'll see about that. All right, so I'm gonna let this quick smart scan do its thing, and we already have something in the ECM and ABS VTA. So if you guys want to check out the thing tool, the link's in the description. All right, so I'm gonna go into the ECM and we're gonna see what's there. And we got a P0986 shift solenoid E control circuit high. Shift solenoid E control circuit high. Let's see what we have for transmission, and then we'll go drive it and see what we feel. Orale. All right, that was a hard shift into drive. So let's go this way. So it looks to me like we get stuck in fourth and we never make it into fifth gear. So I guess he was right. Okay, we're in third. We're in fourth. And we can't make it out of fourth. We're gonna do some tests to figure this one out to see whether it's the ECM wiring or the solenoid itself. All right, so here's the transmission for this Toyota Tundra. Better yet, this is a valve body with all the solenoids that are on it. So you can see right here 3 solenoids that get grounded on the body of the transmission, or on the transmission housing, with 1 wire that comes from the computer. So if they get grounded on the body, this means the computer controls the power side of the solenoid. Then we have these 4 solenoids over here with both wires going to the computer. And then over here we have a temperature sensor and another temperature sensor. All right, so we're looking for solenoid E. But if you take a close look, none of these are solenoid E. All right, so you got to be careful and you got to pay close attention when you're trying to figure out which solenoid is which, because they like to call them different things. All right, so I already looked into this, and the solenoid that we're going after is this solenoid SR, which is on pin 7 with this green wire. All right, so these 3 solenoids right here are identical. So whatever test we're going to be doing on this one, we can do to the other ones to see where the problem is. So we're going to go to pin 7, pin 8, and pin 15. All right, so let's go back to the truck. All right, so we're looking for a green wire on pin number 7, and that's going to be our solenoid E circuit. Okay, so looking at the connector from the front, this is how they're numbered. Top left is 1 through 8, and then the bottom is 9 through 15. So when we flip this over like this, our pin 7 is the green wire right here on the bottom right. And we can compare that to pin number 8 and pin number 15 over here. But we're not going to test at the connector, we're going to test it right here at the transmission. All right, so I'm just going to use one of these little wires to get onto the terminal, and then I'm going to do a resistance check, and then we're going to compare that to pin number 8. Since those solenoids are identical, they should have the same resistance in here. That is our circuit E solenoid, and I'm going to do a resistance check from that pin to the transmission case, and we should have 11 to 15 ohms. I'm going to put this on ground at the transmission casing right there, and this chingadera goes to that chingadera right there. And that is a resistance of circuit E, and it looks like we got way too much resistance. I think we found our problem right here. All right, so now I'm gonna do pin number 8 and pin number 15 just so that we have something to compare to. Okay, got it. All right, so this is pin number 8 and we got 14 ohms. So pin number 8 is solenoid S1, and this is a good reading. So now I'm gonna move it over to 15 and see what we have on 15. Okay, so this is pin 15. This is solenoid S2, and we got 13.4 ohms. This pan has to come down. One test I want to do before I actually drop the pan is I want to make sure that the PCM can actually command that solenoid. So I'm going to go to pin number 7, and I'm going to command the solenoid with the scanner, and we're going to see if the computer is able to do that. On. And you can see it goes to 12.32. Turn it off. And goes back down to 11.45. All right, I'm going to repeat the same test, but this I'm going to use a test light with this little LED bulb. And I'm just going to hook up the alligator clip to ground. I'm going to command it on with the scanner, and we're going to see if it turns on. Okay, here we go. On, off, on, off. All right, so the computer is able to control the solenoid, and we got too much resistance on pin number 7 for the solenoid SR. Right now, this transmission pan has to come down. All right, so this is what we're looking at now. We're looking at all the solenoids on the valve body assembly. And if you remember from the diagram, the one we're looking for is solenoid SR with a single blue wire on it. If I'm not mistaken, this is our guy right here. So what I'm gonna do right now is just unplug it, and I'm gonna do a continuity test from the connector of the solenoid to the connector of the transmission. All right, check it out. We got good continuity. Now, when I'm connected to the circuit, I like to wiggle the harness to make sure that there's no opens and make sure that we don't have any dropouts. And this one checks out good. All right, so the harness checked out good. I'm going to go ahead and swap out this solenoid. I'm going to change the filter, put the pan back, top it off with fluid, and go on a test drive and make sure that we engage from 4th to 5th gear. And then that'll be a fix. All right, so this is with the new solenoid. I'm checking the resistance from the transmission case housing to the connector, and we're reading 11 ohms. That's reading the resistance of the harness and the solenoid. So just to make sure there's nothing wrong with the harness, wiggle it, keep an eye on the resistance, make sure it doesn't change, and this one is good. So I'm going to put everything back together, take it on a test drive, and we're going to watch this shift from 4th to 5th. All right, I got everything back together. Now I'm gonna fill it up with tranny fluid. I'm gonna start with about 4 to 6 quarts, and I'm gonna fill it up right here using this fill plug. Once I get the transmission up to operating temperature, I'm gonna check it using this chingadera right here. All right, here it goes. Start it up. Right now I'm just gonna drive it. I'm gonna try to get it into 5th gear. And then once we see it go into 5th gear, we're gonna know that this one's fixed. We'll give it back to the customer. And I just saw it go into 5th gear right there. When it comes to transmissions, most of the times the failure is internal to the transmission, and it has to be brought down to be taken apart to figure out what's going on inside. Now, when it comes to engines, there's a lot of testing and a lot of repairs you can do from the outside. And luckily, all this one needed was a tranny shift solenoid, and that fixed the problem. Okay, so I'm gonna end this one here. I'll see you guys on the next one.
I just went in there. And Hector is gonna be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engine.
Then?
He just came into Harry's.
Then?
And he ordered 3 T66 turbos.
And then?
And a Motec system exhaust.
And then?
No, and then.